Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you folks doing? I'm here today on the Thrive Show again. Today we have Atina, and we'll be talking about filling your cup and then serving from what runneth over. So hey, what's going on, Cosette? How you doing? Let me invite Atina so we can get this thing started. Go. All right.
Hi,
Hi, Tina. How are you?
I'm great. How has your week been?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Happy Friday.
Yes, let's dive into some exciting topics. So, share with me what you're interested in getting to know more about, and maybe even something about yourself that you would like to share or have
Sure.
questions
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I usually do. I just kind of ask a question about what I'm curious about what I'm going through. So you can just do a little bit of coaching with me.
Sure.
Uh, and I love your work, first of all, Tina. It's fantastic, amazing, straight to the point, and that's one thing I really truly love about it. But so I know you're an intuition success coach, and that is something that hasn't ever come natural to me, to be honest. Like, and maybe I follow my intuition in specific ways and not others, but for me, it seems it's hard to trust my gut. It's hard to trust my intuition. Like, okay, I feel these things, but then my mind says, hey, look, you got to think about this, that, and this. Do you really want to go that route? So what can you tell me about using my intuition a little bit more and
So,
trusting it?
I'll start by saying that most of the world has been conditioned to be in their head
Mhm.
because we've been actually conditioned to remove ourselves from trusting that gut instinct by constantly being told as a child when you're, let's say, for example, when you're eating, and instead of your parents allowing you to feel into your body when you're full and telling you, no, you need to keep going, another bite, another this, right? So what does that do? It automatically disconnects you from your body, and you get in your head and you think, am I full? Am I supposed to keep eating? But my body's telling me something different. Telling a child to give somebody a hug every time it's an auntie, an uncle, a this, a that. And in the moment, they're feeling this energy of, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then an adult is overpowering their intuition and telling them to just do it to be a good little boy or girl.
Mm.
Again, their body is telling them one thing doesn't feel good or safe to them, but somebody is telling them something else. So then they get in their head again and say, well, why am I not feeling good? But I have to do this because someone is telling me to. So this is
Right.
where from childhood, we already experience that conditioning of don't trust what your body tells you. Your body is literally your intuition, and trust what other people are telling you. So now you're
Mhm.
completely disconnected from your gut, and you're always in your head. This is right. This is wrong. This makes me good. This makes me
Right.
bad. So most women have also had enough experiences where they've been put into their masculine energy because of the world's wounding.
Mm.
So the masculine tends to be more in their head. I need to think, I need to do, I need to plan, I need to logic my way through life. When we do that, that's perfect because we need that aspect of ourselves and that half of our brain to be able to accomplish things, to do the doing of the human. The
Mm-hmm.
problem becomes when we're fully trying to make decisions from here, which this is a tape recorder. This is everything that's ever happened to you. Oh, you stuck your finger in that electrical outlet, it stung you, and you realize I shouldn't do that again. So its job is to protect you from anything that's happened before, to make sure that you avoid it at all costs so you don't undergo any more pain.
Mm.
So if you're trying to gather a new idea, which has to come from your intuition, but you're doing it with this, you're like, what am I going to do new for work? Man, I might have to go back to that old thing. What am I going to find? What do I want in a partner? Oh, maybe I should just get attracted to the same type of person over and over. Like, it's just giving you things based on your history because this is a tape
Mm-hmm.
recorder. When we tap into our intuition, it's because we did something to move our body, to run, to exercise, to dance, to meditate, to shut this off and get it to shut the fuck up so
Mm.
that the higher mind can have space to come in and give you the insight for a new possibility, a new idea, a
Mm.
new realization. So we need to practice quieting our mind by breathing and coming into our body so that we can feel intuitively when our body is feeling repulsed by something, to pay attention to it. When our body is telling us no, and listen to it when our body's telling us don't go there to that party, don't go around that corner, right? And to trust that instead of our head that's like, but it looks good, but it looks like this. But so this is what's happened, and this kind of a stretched answer, but I'm going back to where it began and where we are right now. And this is where a lot of people feel stuck.
Yeah.
And then they get dysregulated because they're like, well, my body is feeling like this, but my mind is telling me this. And that's a massive disconnection. Mm-hmm. So when we learn how to sync down here with up here, and we create that connection, then we're following our intuition and then using this to take the action. That is when magic happens.
Right. I think the real hard part is when everything looks to be perfect, it looks to be something that makes sense, looks logical, looks like it's going to go the right way. Yet you have that feeling, and even to the most extreme point, to like, okay, this looks perfect, but I have this bad feeling. It's hard to go with it, you know?
Yeah.
And
I think part of your, and not I think, I know that our intuition is trusting ourselves. Because the reason why a lot of people don't do what they intuitively feel like they should do is because their mind starts saying, well, what if you do this? And what if this happens? What if that person does this? What if they're watching you? Oh my God, what are they thinking about you? What if it goes wrong? Because again, the mind is meant to protect you. So it bases all of your past experiences and starts telling you that's what's going to happen and to be careful.
Right.
So this is where people get anxiety. They get nervous. They start thinking about everything that's going to go wrong. But when you're connected to your intuition, it's like, okay, what if I do that? And then I say the wrong thing. I'm human. I'm allowed to make a mistake. And I know that I can then come back and say, I'm changing my opinion. I'm changing my belief. I'm changing how I'm showing up. If I go this way and I make a mistake, it's not really a mistake because now I realize I hit a wall and I actually want to go this way. Mm-hmm. So the problem is when people get so stuck in their head and the anxiety is present, they're disconnected from trusting them. I'm so worried because they don't trust themselves, because they're so off with their guidance system, which is their body and their emotions, that they're so afraid of what might happen that they just can't take the step. Right. Just take the step. And then what happens is you're going to learn something from it, either that you took the step that's leading you more into your success in whatever area of your life, or it's going to show you from what you experienced that you didn't like, what you do like, and then you're going to go like this through life. And then you're starting to go upwards and onwards. But we're stuck when we're not doing that.
That takes bravery and courage, because if you're married, if you have a significant other, you got kids, you got friends, you got, people who you work with that are completely thinking about the same, the different thing that you feel or think that is the best thing, but you feel and know that it's not, then you kind of have to stand up for yourself and say, hey, look, this is what I feel. This is what I'm going with. This is what I'm doing, period.
Well, the thing that we need to realize is that every time we're getting resistance from other people, they are projecting their own history, their own challenges, their own ceiling that they've hit with what's possible for them, and they're projecting that onto you. So everyone has their own reasoning why they think something is or isn't good for you. And your job is to practice going into your body and then starting to use discernment to realize, even if the person is your worst enemy, and you might not like that they have a perspective about life over here that you don't agree with, but do you have the capacity to see where they do actually might possibly have a quality about them that is positive or a gift that they have? And can you be able to move the one that you don't agree with to the side and potentially see the quality you have to really hear them, and then use discernment to where somebody you can feel intuitively that they're just projecting an insecurity because your intuition now is telling you they're not accurate. I feel this is right for me. That is when you start tapping into your superhuman abilities, because now you're not going, oh, I don't like that person, I don't listen to anything they say. That is your ego. That is your wounding that doesn't want to believe that somebody that you don't agree with about one thing could possibly be right about something else. Yeah. And having the ability to drop your ego a bit and just be able to be open. This is what is the difference between somebody who has an expansive mindset and somebody who has a limited mindset. Because the moment they don't like one thing, they don't like everything, because they're very black and white thinking. Yeah. Right. So you need to be malleable. You need to be open. You need to be stretchy. And that comes when your nervous system, which is what I do with people, which is I train their nervous system through breath work to be able to stretch and come back into stretch. So you can handle things when they're like this, And then you can handle things when they're like this. You can handle this perspective, that perspective. And then you're also clearing out any of your own fears, so that you can notice, okay, every time I take a step in something, every time I trust myself to maybe potentially listen to this person and then it fucked up for me, or that it did work for me, whatever it is, you're not looking at it as good or bad. You're just going, I did something and I'm learning to trust myself more because now I took the step, and I can look back and go, oh, wow, I trust myself now. I was able to overcome it, and now I've become this version of me.
Right.
That's how you build confidence. Confidence isn't something that you're just given. It's by taking action, and then you look back and go, okay, now I trust myself because now I see where I can go this way or this way.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So like Bruce Lee says, be like water.
Yes. And this is the thing. I just had a client today on a session, and her intention was she wants to flow more with light. She feels like things are kind of rigid, and she wants to be, and that flow is that feminine energy. And men sometimes think, well, I'm repulsed by, I don't want to, there's all that, I'm repulsed by anything that makes me seem I'm in my feminine. Yeah. But the reality is that all of us have masculine and feminine energy, but the body, the vessel that we come into, we're more predominantly that energy. But if you don't know how to tap into your masculine energy when you're in business, you are not going to succeed in the way that you really want to. But you need to also not bring that masculine energy into your relationship as a woman, because then two masculine energies are butting heads. So we need to understand that a man, in order for him to develop his gut instinct, that is a feminine trait that requires him to get out of his logical head and to go into his body and start trusting himself that everything is working out for me. It doesn't matter what's going wrong. My perspective, I'm going to tell myself that it is something I need to go through that's going to help me unlock a realization that's going to lead me into the next step. That is part of trusting your intuition, not worried about all of that. So you need your feminine energy in order to have emotional intelligence, in order to heal yourself from the inside out, in order to go with the flow of life. That requires a feminine energy. The rigidity is like the masculine who thinks everything needs to be like this and this and this. And that prevents a lot of men from realizing their highest potential.
And a lot of grinding too. And then you just said that it's important to realize that universe is always working for you. God's always working in your favor. But you also said, how can that be if everything seems so fucked up in my life, or everything is just not going right? Talk a little bit more about that. Like how can that be, right? How can you trust that too, that everything is going in your favor, although it looks completely the opposite?
Because everything that's happening is giving you an opportunity to have a breakthrough. Is giving you an opportunity to let go of something. Sometimes people think, oh, when somebody is coming at me, that's my opportunity. I need to let go and just not and avoid it. That's me letting go. Because everyone says when you let go and then you grow, you let go and then but what are we letting go of? So somebody can be coming at you and you're like, okay, my job is to let go. But let go for one person might be, I'm usually confrontational. Me embodying a higher version of me is to not take it personally and walk away. To somebody else, letting go could be, I literally struggle to vocalize what I need in a situation, and I hold back and I'm like this, and I block here, and then I have throat issues because I can't speak when I need to because I was shut down as a kid, right? And me letting go is letting go of my fear of voicing myself. Letting go is not one-sided. Letting go is different for everybody in every situation, and you have to ask yourself, because sometimes people will see information about you have to always handle something like this. You have to, but what is it specifically for you? Because maybe the healing for you is the complete opposite of what's healing for someone else. If you're a massive person that always has to speak up on everything, and your lesson is to learn how to be more within yourself and not need to constantly do this, then that's your lesson, and for the opposite for the other person. So this is why you have to understand that everything that is happening, it's all part of your unfolding into the next level, into the greater identity, into this more higher version of you who's more confident, who's more courageous. And a lot of people actually block challenges and they're stuck in life. They're like 10 years has passed and nothing's changed because part of their energy is repelling opportunities because they think, well, I don't want to deal with obstacles. I don't want to deal with challenges. So they're just living a life that's just unfulfilling and unhappy because they're not like, universe, bring me the fucking opportunity to see more of what I'm made of, to see more of what I'm capable of. The moment you, and I'm getting chills, the moment you open up to that intention because you have the courage to be like this, you're open, then when something fucks up, you're like, thank you. Now you're helping me become a bigger version of me. You're helping me realize the truth. Maybe I'm not willing to see the truth about my relationships with people because I've been just hide it from me. I don't want to know. Just I want everything to be safe and comfortable. But the moment you're like this, because you have courage, the universe will show you the truth about people, and then it's about you acting on that realization.
Right. And I
So
think you said something really important there about saying thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for sending me this obstacle, this challenge, so that I can better myself, I can connect with my higher self and become that better version of myself, right?
well, that's the thing. You know, they say the fastest way to shift yourself from anger, from anxiety, is to get into a state of gratitude. So how do you do that? It's so hard for people. They're sitting there like, well, I'm not really grateful for anything. Life is always fucked up. People are always triggering me. Like things aren't working out. The things that I want aren't happening. Okay, so how can we move into gratitude? And again, I had a client yesterday, and this was the conversation. How can we, what is a tool? So I love giving people tools because I want you to be your own guru. I want you to become your own master and help yourself throughout your day. It's not just about talking and like, no, like I want you to find a way so that every day you're upgrading, every day you're changing.
Yeah.
When you are dealing with a challenging situation where you're like, oh my God, why is this person like cutting me off on the road? I'm so grateful because in that moment I felt the trigger and I felt that trigger. And then I, instead of going, oh, they're fucked up or they're like this or being angry, because your mind is trying to always numb you from feeling the trigger. So, because it doesn't want you to feel pain. It loves you. The ego wants you to not feel pain. So it'll get you to be like, oh, fuck this. Oh, this person. Oh, I'm this. What, right? So it keeps you in your head, which prevents you from feeling your body. But if you just allow this, if in the moment you did it, and then you go in your body and you feel the burn, you just moved energy. You just moved a trigger. So every time these things are happening where you think something's going wrong, imagine if you just got angry, then you reminded yourself, oh, it's helping me clear something. And you let yourself feel it and you just breathed. And then you go into gratitude of, thank you, universe, for helping me just clear that out of my field. Imagine that as a tool to constantly put yourself in that state of gratitude, of appreciation that life is always unfolding for you. That is the best way to get yourself into that state without thinking, what do I need to think about that I'm grateful for? Because now your challenges are even appreciating you.
Right. It's almost like a force field that most people have up for their entire lives. If you're grateful, I mean, if you're if you're if you're here, you should be grateful for being here. You know, because you are in a state in which you are being able to receive this frequency, receive this vibration, receive this information, and embody it and become it and begin to practice it. So you know, it's great if you're here. I have somebody on the messages saying sobriety is a great example, AB. With sobriety, you know, if you're hooked on drugs, hooked on alcohol, you're basically running away from everything. You're running away from your emotions. You're running away from the pain. And once you stop, then everything kind of comes at you. Nothing has gotten better. A lot of times it's worse. So just facing all of that pain with sobriety, what can you say about that? About, you know, about being on drugs, being on alcohol, and then having to get off it.
So this is a perfect conversation because I think society has made it normal to drink to the point of blacking out. And because everyone does it, it's called normal, but normal does not equal healthy or right. Yeah. So it's a way of us to sometimes even just activating our confidence because we're nervous and we don't know how to act. So we need that shot to bring out a different version of ourselves that we can't do when we're sober. So everything is serving a purpose. And really think about when you're doing Molly, when you're getting high, what are you really trying to do? A lot of people think, oh, that's so self-destructive. You know, in the spiritual community, we always want to say that people are so self-destructive. They're abusing themselves because we've moved through it, that now we look at them with shame. But what if we change our perspective and you realize, what are you really trying to do by getting high? You're not trying to destroy yourself. You're actually trying to feel good. Okay? Yeah. So if we're trying to feel good, and now we have a habit, a behavior, a pattern that is trying to get us to feel good because we naturally, in that, not natural, because our natural state is of peace, it is of abundance, is of feeling good. Yeah. But we have wounding that makes us not feel good. Yeah. But if in our normal day-to-day we don't feel good, then we always are seeking some type of scrolling or some type of substance or some type of numbing to get ourselves into that good feeling state. So how do we break free of something like that? Find a different way to feel that thing. If I need to be more confident, use breath work to get out of my head. Because think about it, if I'm about to speak on stage, if I'm going to meet a person for a date, if I'm going to do something that's going to bring anxiety up because I'm worried and nervous, that's because I'm thinking, how am I going to look? What are my arms doing? If I'm dancing at the club, I need to wait for that drink to let go and start feeling good.
Yeah.
So imagine if you just used your breath. That's a positive tool to use. That's a healthy way of not putting this chemical substance that's destroying you in order to feel good. What if I learn how to maybe get a communication skill through therapy? Maybe if I take a dance class to get out of my body and exercise, whatever the fucking thing is, if you find a better way. What is it when we're smoking weed? We're trying to connect with ourselves. We're craving connection. We feel alone. So when we're smoking, what happens to people? They go into their body and suddenly they're so connected to themselves.
Yeah.
So we're constantly craving a way to get out of our head, really, if you think about it. Everything that you're doing is trying to create connection. When I'm on social media, because I don't have people that vibe with me, I'm trying to find the posts that resonate with me. So what is the solution? Go put yourself in a class that are with like-minded people as you, so that you can connect in that way. So if you just find a healthy way to figure out what you're trying to seek from that thing, then you can let go of the habit and your identity is changing, which means that you're on a different frequency. That addiction, that habit, that's how we go cold turkey. Because you're no longer that version of you because you did something new.
That's right. Wow. Loving this. This is amazing. Let's see if anybody else has something to say. Oh, yeah. 4 happy heart. Hi, Compton Damon. What's going on, Minnie Mouse? Just saying hi to everybody. God is love 8888. What's up? Yes, the mind feels on what you give it. Carrie Beckner. Yes. Triggers are where we still need to heal. Emily Michelle. Yeah. Yeah. And your mind can play tricks on you. Yes, for sure.
And one of the things that I want to even speak to with the trigger situation, every one of us are human and every one of us does this, me included. We have to give ourselves grace and compassion when something comes up. When your partner pisses you off or they do something that makes you angry, the moment that something happens, it's an immediate trigger. What happens when somebody just slaps you in the face? Are you going to be like, okay, I'm calm, let me feel into this? No. Human nature is that you're going to react. The more on edge you are, the more in your head you are, the reaction could be a punch in the face. The reaction could be like, oh my God, don't do that. So all based on how on edge you are, the reaction can either be, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, or I'm going to tell you, hey, that's not okay.
Right.
So we want to get to a place where we can exert our boundary without being so reactionary, where it makes us end up walking away not feeling good. Because think about it, when you react in a way that you are not proud of, you didn't solve anything. You think, oh, I got them back. But then when you walk away, you're still feeling chaotic. Right. So does that solve anything? Because now your chemistry is all fucked up. You're thinking all these thoughts. Now it's destroying you. So this is why I always say, you have to find a way to give yourself grace when you had a reaction that you didn't like, because we're human and that's going to happen. But you need to then self-reflect and ask yourself, how could I have handled this differently? And why was this so triggering for me? But the step that most people are missing is they try to intellectualize right away. You have to feel the burn. If you don't feel the burn when someone is making you feel powerless, which is what's actually happening, life is trying to help you step into your power. How does it do that? By making somebody tell you, oh, sorry, you already paid for this, you can't return it. What feeling does that give you in that moment when you feel like you just spent a lot of money and now they're saying you can't return it? Right away, this is pulsating, because it's not what's happening right now, but it's symbolic of your childhood when somebody was like, you have to just stand here and take it when I'm doing this. So life is always helping you clear that experience, and your triggers, like up here thinking it's about this person right now, but it's this stacked emotion of feeling powerless so many times in your life. And sometimes, depending on what's happening, that can be a really big clearing moment for you. Because if you just sit there because most people are like, oh, I have to react to that person, it's awkward when I'm just quiet. But what if you just sat there and you just let yourself feel it, and then let it burn through you instead of pushing it back down with your anger and let it burn through you. And then the wisdom will come through of, that's not okay with me. We're going to figure this out in a different way. And I'm going to handle this to make sure that this makes sense for me.
Right.
Now
Right.
you're embodying a higher version of you and you're healing. But if you're just dealing with everything the same way because that person is doing something to you, this is a human experience, but you are a spiritual being trying to evolve through these human experiences.
Right.
And that's what you have to remember. You're not being victimized. You're being given an opportunity to change.
Right. So when you say that about feeling powerless and you experiencing that in the past when you were a child, that really makes me think about, as a parent, how I want to be a parent and how I show up with my children, to know that they are souls, and it doesn't matter what age they are, and you should let them have their power and not necessarily always be on top of them like this, shaking your finger at them and making them do exactly what you want them to do, because they are free souls. That is so interesting. Wow. A lot of things we're doing is because we're running from pain, but you also said something, and I was a little bit unclear about it. You said that we are afraid of receiving because we think that receiving comes with pain.
Yes.
And I just want you to go a little bit more into that, because it's an interesting concept.
So let's go back to childhood,
Yeah.
because so much of this, everything that we've learned about relationship, about our self-worth, about ourselves, about what it means to receive, to give, that was ingrained in us in our childhood. And one of the examples is, we can look at our parents are the first people, our authority figures are the first people that taught us what love is, what relationships are. So, we can have the most incredible superhuman-like parents who did the best that they could, but they didn't have resources. They didn't have social media and like all of these things tools to heal and how to raise your kids. They just were traumatized. They did a bit better than their parents did, but it came with us ingraining certain beliefs about certain things. And one of the things with receiving is we all want to receive more money, more gifts, more love, more opportunities, more success, right? We all want these things. But if we get down to the root of it, everyone's like, how can I receive more of this? This is all these different areas. But let's go down to the root of the tree instead of the branches. Right. The root is receiving came with pain. If our form of our parents giving us love was this, I'm loving you, so I'm controlling you. You did something bad, and in order for me to show you that to not do it again, I need to beat the shit out of you. You don't want to go there because maybe there's something dangerous happening for you that you know as a kid, but I'm going to force you to. Now you're looking at this authoritative figure who's supposed to be your safe space, who's supposed to love you, and everything that they gave you as a lesson, as what you just perceive as anything as love, because we see our parents as love, no matter how scary, no matter how toxic, no matter how negative. They were the emanation of love for us. They gave us life. That's why you can slap your kid and 2 seconds later they're hugging you and wanting you to play with them. So you are the emanation of, and the embodiment of love to them. So when everything that our parents did was love, sometimes you'll even hear people say, my parents beat me because they were trying to teach me a lesson because I was bad. So what are they really saying underneath that? Somebody abused me because they loved me. And then you go and experience relationships where people are like abusing you, and you're like, that's why am I with these types of people? But they never want to go back to the parents because it would be too painful to acknowledge that your parents conditioned you into believing that love comes with pain and control and manipulation, because that's what they did. Right. So when we associate receiving with those factors, now as an adult, your mind says, I want this, I want that, I want that. But your nervous system is like, oh, fuck no. Receiving is painful. Just block any receiving and just create a force field. I don't want any of it. This feels safer. But your mind is like, but I want this. Why isn't it coming? There's some underlying fear you have that having more money means, maybe from your history, that people start treating you differently. Now they're no longer with you for the right reason. They're your friend because you pay the bill. They're your partner because you give them everything. Now you're starting to, this whole concept of receiving a partner might come with, they only use me for one thing. Receiving a friend, they just use me because they need me to feel better. Now I'm receiving money. It's just so that I can get the money to give it out to people. I can't even do anything that I want to do with it. So all of this receiving has come from a history of all these things, and we wonder why we can't receive. because there's a subconscious fear that comes with it.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep. I never even thought about it that way, but so true, so real. So emotional purging and reflections that you receive from others. You said you can either receive negative reflections from others or positive reflections from others. And it can be somebody close to you, or it can be somebody that you're watching on TV or on a live like this. Can you go a little bit into that as far as reflections and how we take them?
So this kind of goes back to that conversation where, we'll get into let's say for a relationship, for example, a romantic relationship. We get into a relationship like that and everything is euphoric in the beginning because we see all their positive qualities. And then their wounding starts, getting added to the mix. And then all we see are their negative traits. And then we just focus on that, right? And then all we're seeing is this negative reflection. But what happened? Our own wounding got triggered. We started feeling insecure. We started doubting ourselves. We started not feeling good because this person is now treating us in a way where makes us question our own value. So now the reflection is just, all I see is their negative traits. But why? Because all now you experience about yourself when you look in the mirror, oh, I look like shit. Oh, I feel like shit. Oh, I'm not doing what I feel like I should be doing. Oh, I'm not here in life. My body looks like this. So the thing that we're focused the most on, if all we see is negativity in other people, it's usually a reflection of what we're battling and being able to not see the good about ourselves. So we have to be accountable for what we're choosing to pay attention to. And this is where discernment comes in. I need to be able to see the reflection of a quality that somebody is showing me that's something I need to work on. Like when they're saying, when I feel like this person is being inconsiderate in a romantic relationship with me, but I'm just focusing on that. But like the introspection is, where am I being inconsiderate maybe with my family members, my friends? Because what they're doing to you is usually what you're doing to someone else, but you can't see it because you're so focused on what they're doing to you. But it is an interconnected chain of us all healing each other. And that person who you feel like, why are you treating me like this? They're not thinking about how they're treating you, but they're dwelling on how another person is treating them that way. So we're all doing this to each other, but the one who has the awareness is the one that's healing. So we can focus there, which is what we need, but then we also need to pay attention to, where do I see qualities in a person that I look up to, that I'm inspired by, that is showing me a quality that I have within me. The key though is to not start adapting yourself to everything about them and throw everything away about you, because you're meant to pick up on a piece that is a quality. Maybe it's their confidence, maybe it's the fact that they're really acknowledging their gift and they're using it. But some people think, oh, I need their hair. It's the hair. It's the outfit. It's the way that they're doing their thing.
Right.
And then they're trying to, or it's the way that they're doing their job. No, but you're confusing the external with the internal thing, the spark in them that you're meant to pick up on.
Right.
If they're owning their gift, but then you're trying to emulate their gift, that's where you're feeling not good enough, because you're trying to be a half-assed version of them. Right. Instead of realizing that the true quality you're seeing is the fact that they're owning their unique gift. So the reflection is, own my unique gift, not be like them, own my unique gift.
Right. And then also not look at their 100th episode when you're on your second episode or whatever. Are you right? Not necessarily judge yourself to judge your first chapter to their 20th chapter.
Because you know what you're focused on when you do that? When you're trying to do something, when you're trying to become somebody bigger, when you're trying to step into your purpose, when you're trying to get a better body, whatever the fuck it is, when you're doing that, it's natural for us as humans, the human part of you immediately wants to compare, because you're trying to see, where am I compared to where are they? So you're trying to fill a gap there. Like, what do I need to get? But most of us are focused in our wounding, which is, why am I not there? Instead of bringing the focus into, okay, what steps do I need to take? They're showing me that there are steps in between. But we're so focused on, I'm not there. Why am I not there? Right? So we're in that I'm not good enough thing. So what we need to do is just honor the journey that we are currently on, and respect that practice is going to get us again into this way, in defining more of who we are. And we are going to start emulating other people. We are going to crash and burn. We are going to fuck up. We are going to get triggered. But just remember, no matter what you're trying to create for yourself, there's going to be resistance when you're changing. You're going to feel like you're doing something wrong, but everything is going right.
Yeah.
because it's just trying to crack you open more so that your nervous system feels safe for the next step. But if you're afraid of what might happen if you take that step, you're going to go back into your shell.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So let's see what other people say. But how important is it to stay present and have that goal in mind and not necessarily compare yourself? Like that seems to be really important, to stay present, stay focused on what you want to do, be that person who you want to become. And what does that mean exactly, to be the version of yourself before you actually are? Because we know,
This is
if
so
we talk
good.
about quantum physics, it's like, everything is everything. We're already there. There's no past, present, future. There's only the now. So that version of yourself already exists somewhere else. But, as a human being in this experience, it's difficult to be that person. And what does that mean?
People make things so complex, including me, because that's what we do. There's so much that has to get done. When something seems so far away, it can create depression.
Yeah.
The further you are away from the thing you feel like you're meant to do, the more depression you have, the more unhappy, the more unfulfilled. The closer the people are, the more joyful they are, the more good they feel. And this is the important thing. Sometimes we're like, how am I going to get from here to here? You don't need to know. Use your emotions as the guidance system. Do you feel good right now?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're on the right path. You're in alignment.
Yeah.
People
Completely.
make the mistake of going, well, I don't want to do that hard thing that someone's telling me to do. That feels too challenging. So if the rule is that I have to feel good, then why would I do the hard thing? I'm going to do the easy thing. No, think about it like this, and I'll give you an analogy. When you go on a roller coaster, do you want to do it? No. You're like, that is fucking hard. That is challenging. That is scary. But you know how you know that that's the right thing to do? Because a part of you knows that when you get to the end of it, you're going to feel euphoric. That's how you know that that's not an avoidance thing. A lot of people want to avoid doing the hard thing because they're like, well, I'm supposed to feel good. This doesn't feel good. No, but think about it. When you get to the end of it, how great are you going to feel? That's how you know you should do it.
That's right.
But every time you're doing something and you're picking up, maybe I should do it like this person. Maybe this is maybe this is the gym or the exercise or the meal plan or the purpose. Whenever you're making a decision and then you do it, if you're genuinely doing it and you're like on the end of it and it's not feeling good, perfect. Now I know this isn't the right way. Now I know that maybe I picked up an idea from someone else who I'm inspired by, but it's not fueling me. Maybe it's failing because it's not that I'm not meant to succeed. Maybe it's that I'm doing it in a way that's not authentically me. And I'll give you an example. Most people that do breath work, they're laying on the floor. It's a very like yoga-like, calm. And I was doing that, but I had to go through that process to realize, you know what? I like fucking dancing. I'm going to breathe and do breath work while dancing because now I'm incorporating body movement, which is going to even move the energy even more. And it's going to build confidence in people. And I'm doing it based on the things that are authentically me. I didn't take dancing lessons. I just like moving my body and I like dancing. So now I'm incorporating what is naturally me, what I'm naturally good at, with what's part of my purpose, which is taking me away from the box that everyone puts breathwork into, and I'm making it unique and different and mine. Now I'm on fire. Now I feel good. Now I'm not like this doing what my purpose is. So you have to find the things that make you you, because the universe is infinite. It is not limited. And you think that you're meant to do it how everyone else does it. If the universe is infinite and goes on forever in its expansion and uniqueness, you think in 8 billion people that are grains of sand on a planet and on Earth, that everyone is going to have to follow what this way the person is doing? No, your history, your culture, your background, your trauma, your challenges, your gifts, what makes you you is meant to be part of that thing, and then you make it yours.
Right. Completely. That's beautiful. Okay, so iKarma says your mind can make you forget that your body is moving energy. So true. You're suppressing pain, Zach says. Yep. Guys, thank you so much for the new perspective. Much love. That's what's up. Carrie says the spirit and body are not often in conflict with one. Master being in control despite how you feel. Yes.
And I'll speak on that.
Sure, yeah.
Oftentimes we're letting our emotions, if I feel right now that I'm pissed off and I don't want to hug you, that is me not doing it because of a temporary emotion. But if I know I'm a hugger, now you're getting the idea, oh, she's setting a boundary. She doesn't like hugging me. Now that's confusing because your values are, oh, I love hugging people. So now you just went against your values for a temporary emotion. And now this person is no longer going to hug you and you're going to go, oh my God, I love hugging. Why? Because you let a temporary emotion set a boundary that is not part of your values. That's not even a real boundary. That is just a moment because you let your emotions get in the way. So I'm not saying when you're angry, go hug the person. I'm just saying I'm using it as an example. Always stick to your values. And you can't do that when you're being controlled by your mind and your emotions. You need to always decide, okay, am I gonna not go to this place because I want to teach this person a lesson, because I want to create drama, because I'm trying to punish somebody? Or is my value that I'm going to put my feelings aside because I'm going to support this other person?
Right.
This is
Right.
you sticking to your values, not your temporary emotion because that person that's going pissed you off. So this is where you need to use discernment again and go, my values tell me that I am a leader, I support, I don't allow this personal conflict over here to dictate what I'm going to do over here.
Right, right. Facts. What are your thoughts on those who spiritual bypass, specifically from within the spiritual community? I've always thought this was an interesting concept here. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, based on my understanding of spiritual bypassing is just constantly telling yourself that everything is wonderful and great and that you're never actually allowing yourself to feel your emotions, and you're just trying to move through things and telling yourself that you're evolved and healed and you're wonderful and perfect and that everything is unicorns and rainbows, when the reality is most people who had a spiritual awakening had to be in total darkness, and then they got to see that speck of light and then they would follow that. In order to know yourself, you have to be real with yourself and actually be willing to do the shadow work, which is, it's hard to see me. It's hard to give myself advice. It's hard to see the things about me that need to evolve. But what I can do is I can look at the world around me as this mirror that's in front of me that got smashed with a hammer and broken into millions of pieces of mirror. And everyone that's in my personal universe and reality is a reflection of something within me. And that's how I can do the shadow work, to stop being like this and realize that there are fingers pointed at me to go inward. What is this trying to show about me?
Right.
That's how we stop bypassing. And then you move into the positive emotion and gratitude of, thank you for being a reflection of me.
Yeah.
Shadow work is key. It's key.
We are all one. But do you think that it is as rampant in the spiritual community as people say it is?
I think that people just don't know what to do because they don't have the right support. And then you have social media, which has a bunch of people who've had a spiritual awakening. Everyone's sharing their perspective, which is fucking amazing, because my hope is that anybody I work with, or even in my life, my personal life, feels inspired by what I'm doing to start sharing their experience. Because the reality is, if you've had awakening, you're here at a time where you are meant to help awaken and help others. So instead of using social media as this way where we've said that it's this toxic, negative thing, no, everything that's created, I'm getting chills, everything that's created, God, universe, source can transform it, transmute it, which is what spirituality is all about, transmute the darkness into light. So let's take social media and use it as a source to share our understanding and our experience, because we don't want to use social media to get on and start telling you what I learned in a book. No, I want to share. I want you to come on here and share with you what I learned from the wisdom I gained from my experiences. That is going to resonate with people way more than this is what I learned in science class and psychology class. That's great. It has a place. But when you're having a spiritual awakening, the best way to heal is to become a teacher, because as you teach, you're learning yourself because you're channeling. I use my own videos to deal with my own challenges. When I'm struggling, I'll go in there and I'm like, oh my God, my higher self was talking to me. So when you're speaking, you're channeling. It's just what frequency are you on? Because if the higher the frequency you're plugged into, the more clear and pure the channel is. When you're always plugged into something, but what level, right? So if I'm plugged in down here, I'm giving my friend advice, which is what everyone's doing. They're giving advice, but if it's muddy, the channel is muddy because your trauma, your own beliefs, your things are distorting it, and then it's coming through with that. So the more we heal, the more our channel, our frequency is going plugged into our pure consciousness, which is going to give us better downloads that are going to be more supportive of the truth.
Completely. That's fire. Stay Human says anger should be float through and let go, not resisted and fought by. Completely. Yes. Anger management and control, Zach says. Yeah, no growth happening. So stay human. Procrastination is such a bad habit. My wife was tired of waiting for me to seek help, and now I'm facing the consequences. I'm all alone, says Nocturnal. Feel the burn. People need to know this. They end up suffering in their mind because they're not feeling it out. I Karma says. And that's facts. Like there's people who say, okay, yeah, it's great. I mean, it was amazing. I had a dark night of the soul, and you know, but what I've seen in my journey, at least, is that there are more than just one dark nights of the soul, and you may have many, and that is something that is okay and should be experienced, and not be ran away from because you've already had only one.
Well, one thing I can say about Dark Night of the Soul is that my initial one was the most catastrophic. It was the most life-changing. It was the most intense, I would say. And I thought at that time when I experienced my spiritual awakening that it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And then because I know the impact I meant to make now in hindsight, I look back, I realized why I had to have awakening after dark night, because some of us are actually going to be propelled into multiple, one after the other, because we are meant to make greater impact. That's just the truth. Everyone is meant to make impact in their own way, but some of us that are meant to be, you know, leaders with greater impact with more people, it's going to stack to the point where some people are just like, I can't handle this anymore. Right? And so for some people, it's stretched out. It's like one awakening and then 10 years later. But for some people, there was a point in time where I felt like every week I was having an awakening.
Yeah.
But that's why I was able to have so much wisdom and share so much with people, because it's in the moment I didn't want to go through it. In the moment I didn't want to see the truth about my life and the reality I was living in and what I was creating and the things I was adapting to and the changes I wasn't making and, you know, all these things. But my life has changed a lot since 2 years ago, since I had an awakening, a lot. And it came with a lot of loss, but I always see it as gain because it's part of my evolution. So every time I've dropped the weight, I've evolved into a higher state. And my thinking has changed, my speaking has changed, my capacity for different things, my challenges have changed, and I've done immense things in that. So everything is a gift. And it's really about owning, you know, what am I choosing to be in this life? Because we're getting a chance with the energy that's present to really expand ourselves to our highest timeline. And that's really fucking exciting. And unfortunately, most people want to be on the highest timeline, but they don't want to go through the transformation that's required in order to build this new foundation of these different levels of you in order to be on that timeline. Right. They just want to jump there. And it's an initiation process that you have to go through. Right. And the more open you are to like, bring it fucking on, let me face it, see more of the truth. Like that's my daily prayer. Bring me more of the truth. Help me see more of the truth, because the truth awakens you. The truth only hurts the ego.
Right.
So if you really want to wake up with a daily prayer, go to bed and I want to see more of the truth. And that is going to freak the shit out of some of you, because you're going to have to shatter the old reality to access the new one. But if you're willing and you want to do something big and you want to be of service to people in a bigger way, then it's a commitment you have to make.
Right. Right. And I think that it's okay because that's a part of being, like saying, okay, I want to feel this way. I want to be this. So I have to act like or feel like, or, you know, fake it till you make it. I say be it till you see it. But that's an important part of it. But know that there's going to be pain in it. Know that you're going to have to go through it in order to be that, right? It's just, that's kind of spiritual bypassing in itself. Like,
well, I think people don't realize, like the reason why they don't want to deal with challenges is because part of their survival identity, right? The first half of their life before awakening, it was survival, which is like every time something happened, it felt like it was for no reason. Really, it felt like punishment. So if you associate like challenges with suffering and punishment, we don't realize we're going to go through pain. It's part of the human experience. You're going to have challenges, but you're going to be able to deal with it in a way where it happens. You're not going to drown for 6 months, for 10 years, for 20 years, go to your deathbed in regret and resentment and anger. Now you have the capacity to be like, yeah, things are going to happen. Just because you're spiritually awake doesn't eliminate life happening. You're still going to experience things, but the way that you're going to deal with it, it's going to be like, well, something that took me out for 6 months before or 10 years before, I can deal with it in a week. I can deal with it in a day. I can deal with it in a moment. Because I'm transmuting now. Now I'm not harboring this energy. I'm dealing with it, and then I'm transforming it into a power.
I've got you.
And that's why people, and there's so many people, like I've even experienced this in my own awakening, where I've experienced resistance in the life of the people that are close to me, family members, friends, that don't want to really go through the awakening process, and they're resisting it, even though I'm in their life and naturally it's waking them up, whether they can realize it or not. But I've seen everyone around me change, because when you have somebody in your life, including everyone who's watching, if you're awake, you're awakening the people you love, right?
Facts.
It's just repulsive. It's just repulsive to them, because change, the ego is like, no, something is trying to change me. They're trying to change me by manipulating me, but they don't realize it's healing them. But their nervous system gets activated. So what's happening is like we, us evolving and becoming, as we change, we need to be open to the things that are going to come with it, and recognize the people who are afraid to heal. We've all been there. It gets to a point where you're like, what's the point of all this? Now I'm just alone. I'm suffering. There's nothing, right? But as you get to, you're almost like on the end, and that's where people give up. It's like you're right there where life is going to start becoming so, it's going to create so much peace for you, and freedom and abundance and joy and purpose. But right when they're like there, it's like, I can't handle it anymore. What's the point? And then they're like sitting and going backwards. But eventually you're going to have your breakthrough. Eventually you're going to realize, wow, I handled that situation differently. Wow, I went through this and it was like, it bounced right off me. When you start seeing the value in it, you're going to be like, let's fucking go. Highest timeline, here we come. Next opportunity, let's go. And that part, when you're there, that's when you see people on fire. They're living in passion. So you have to just own where you are right now, and accept that it might not feel the best right now, but why? Because it's like I said, the further away you feel like from that life, the more unfulfilled and unhappy you're going to feel. But if you just keep going, I promise you, when you get on the other end, it's all going to be worth it.
So Zach says, you have to learn to rebuild self-esteem and use their constructive criticism to reconstruct. All right, I like that. You should be battling yourself, says Stay Human. Who says she's talking from experience. I see. Yes, you're definitely talking from experience. Innocent says, like feeling the way it would feel if it already had been done. Yes. Let's see what else we have here. Tanoka says, get out of the matrix and see the real world. Woo! Totally. Innocence 319. God had to put me through the same things over and over again till I saw what I learned. What do you say about that? Like,
well, that's the thing. People, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. So many people are stuck in the loop, right? Like the same loop is happening again. Why can't I get out of it? Stop perceiving yourself as stuck, first of all, and understand that healing is spiral. So whatever initial trauma that created this belief system in you that has you learning the same lesson, that was the big O. And then you're going to experience it in a similar way, but smaller, in a similar way. So the lesson, it's not that you're ever stuck. It's that you're gaining some realization, like maybe this much, and then next time a little more, and then next time, until the whole lesson is learned, and then you get to the center and it's learned. You can't expect, sometimes we're like, why am I going through this? Because it's an evolution. It's not like a one-time lesson and you're going to figure it out. So when you give yourself grace in that way, then you're like, okay, it's coming back up again, but now that I'm not so stuck on how stuck I am, I can actually embrace this experience, and I can recognize where maybe there's one step extra I can take.
That's right. Shadow work integration, Innocent says, of subconscious and consciousness, and that it also is called memory consolidation, where you prove yourself wrong through old stories. Let's see. Chris Wonk says, right, even with sessions. Innocence again says to dwell, but not move out of it to stay there. Sometimes you got to sit in it until you're sick or of your old patterns. Yep. Kozad says, let's go on a vision quest. Yeah, let's go on a vision quest. Let's get a lot of 100s here. Yes, when you see the world, when you see the proof for yourself, you don't ever have to believe the old knowing again. It's a new life for sure. Wow. Facts. But is it like a new life, or is it like you? It's like you under it all. And it could be you before all the social programming, all the trauma. At the end of the day, it's you. Good way to look at it. Atina, keep shining, says Chris Chris. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, this has been awesome. So we've been on for about an hour. I appreciate your time. Did you want anybody to know anything about what you're doing right now, or so what's
Well, if
up?
anybody wants to join the Level Up Club, it's an opportunity for you to experience, a high level of coaching. And I say high level, not that other people aren't doing something that's high level. I own the fact that it is very multidimensional what I do. And it's about owning your confidence and owning your gift and owning the fact that we're not meant to be one thing. And when you come into a coaching container with me, and I'm working with spirit, it's not just me, you're receiving healing on many different levels. You are getting energy work experience in your body through your movement, through the dance, through the breath, through all of these. And you're also putting yourself into a state of surrender so that something greater can also be working on you because you're out of the way. So, and you're gaining insights and guidance and having solutions and steps come through you and also channeled through me. So it is so multifaceted to have that space. And I know how much value it brings because even though I do it in a different way, my mentor is the same way, and she's very multidimensional, and she has expanded me in ways that I couldn't be more grateful for. And now I'm given the opportunity to also help people in my own unique way. And it's exciting for me. So if you're into dancing, if you're into raves, if you're into being different, if you're into having fun and healing and not doing it in such a dreary way, and you get to do it in the comfort of your own home and space, and you really are ready for a life change, then join us. Use the link in my bio. And I also want to just move into one final thing.
Sure. Yeah.
When you are going through life, people are like, well, how do I feel the trigger? How do I get out of my head? Breathe. The fastest way to get out of your head is to take a double inhale, meaning your belly rises, your chest rises, and then you have a massive sigh of relief. Like, just even doing that once, you feel good. Imagine what happens when you do that 3 times, 10 times. Imagine what happens when you're doing that for an hour. That's how you start seeing visions. That's how you start getting amazing downloads for your purpose and insights. And you literally transform at a cellular, energetic, everything level. You literally change your chemistry, you change your physiology, you become a different identity through every session. And one experience is the equivalent of a year plus of therapy. So this is what I want to, welcome you into, invite you into, and whether it's with me or somebody else, give yourself, learn to find the value in investing in yourself, your time, your energy, and your resources. Because nothing you invest in external is going to be more powerful than doing the inner work to change you, because your outer reality is a reflection of the inner you.
That's right. That's right. Investing in yourself is the best investment that you can ever make. That's true.
Yes.
And that sounds like so much fun. Your program sounds awesome.
Yes.
And I hope that these folks here that aren't in the program yet join. And hopefully you guys join us for the next Thrive Show session. And thanks for coming. Have a beautiful rest of the day to everybody. Much love. Thanks,
Thank you,
Atina.
and I appreciate you.
This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
All right.